Hello there. Module 5 Remote Control Drone Technology. Drones, fun to fly and fantastic to make money. We are doing good, we are making progress. Remote control, let's see. On remote control, we're gonna make money with that too, right? That's the whole point over here. Let's start on and let's get the dumb things out of the way. I believe would be a good way to start. Of course, before we start, I want to make sure all the displays. Let's concentrate on the displays a little better. Yeah, for testing, have the props out to start with. Props off and fly clear of people. Of course, these are good things to remind. I know you're already very concerned about that. Okay, there was there was I thought I want to make sure the camera is working all okay. Yeah. Then one other thing, always update firmware whenever you are going into software to do maybe binding, maybe upload new features or whatever that you need to do. Don't forget to update software. In fact, on the initialization, the drones do it by themselves automatically, but always remember that. And yeah, let's think, what is NTSC? That's the American Standard, National Television Standard Committee. And what is PAL? Phase alternating lines. That's in Europe, and we all know that. But then there's another thing that we have to be concerned about. The voltage. Of course, we are dealing with portable equipment, so generally voltage is variable. From now they make it 100 to 240. That's all fine, but the hertz, that's the number of cycles, that's something I want to bring your attention to. There's a setting where you can select between 60 cycles and 50 cycles. You got to remember, in US with 110 volts is 60 cycles, 60, and Europe, Asia and some other places is 50. So if you have the incorrect setting there, maybe your final product, your cine or your video or your photograph could be susceptible for interference if you don't have in the correct setting. So something to remember. And okay, this one, somebody else when I say this, someone might say, do you think we are dumb? How many feet for a meter? It's 3.2 feet for a meter. So in any circumstance, if the measurement given in meters, the height usually, so that's important to know. And on the mode of the remote control, we are doing with the mode 2. That means you got your throttle and the yaw on left hand, and pitch and roll on right hand. That takes care of that. And generally, always we already know with the Windows, particularly when things don't work, we reboot. So with the remote control, even with the goggles, there's an issue. First thing to do is to reset, and at times you have to uninstall the app and reinstall. So those are the first steps. It's nice to remember. Let's start with the frequency spectrum. Let me get the camera adjusted nicely to this screen. Let's see how well you can see this screen. Let me see. And I want to focus to this. Let's see now whether I can do it. Yes. Let's see with the vehicle. I get a better shot on this one. Yeah, if you can see that chart, frequency chart. In fact, although you cannot see it properly, it's on. It's a figure 2 of module 5. See, if you look at these frequencies, let me see. It's from 30 hertz to 3 kilohertz. It's a very low frequency. From 3 to 30, it's 30 to 300 is low frequency. 300 to 3 megs medium frequency, and 3 megs to 30 is high frequency, and 30 to 300 very high frequency, 300 to 3 meg ultra high, and 300 megs to 3 gig is ultra high. That's where our 2.4 falls in, and 3 gig to 30 gig is super high frequency. That's where our 5.8 gig falls in, and 30 gigs to 300 is extra high frequency. It goes on and on to infrared and X-rays and gamma rays. Just to get the idea of the frequency spectrum. And then let's see. Okay, let me ask this. Oh, you might not see my face. That's all fine, I believe. Let me ask this. Who allocates these frequencies? Is the federal... Oh. Is the Federal Communications Commission right there. And right there, if you can see it. Yeah, they are the ones in the United States. They allocate the frequencies. And talking about frequencies, with that other project I was talking about, flag post, drone charger, the one question that comes is, with the frequency we are dealing with, the shortwave, it's very high frequency, means very short microwave. The wavelength is almost microwave, so the distance is much restricted. So are you going to cover wide areas? Then I thought our amateur radio band, that is high frequency, or amateur or ham band. I'm wondering what is ham band being used for now. I don't see that many ham operators with the internet. So if there's productive work, I'm sure, I'm optimistic we would be able to get Federal Communications Commission to allocate some frequencies. I don't think that should be impossible to do. Okay, let's go on to now relating to. So, talking about trying to make money with the remote control, it could. I know there was a time that maybe a couple of decades ago, people whose job function was mainly doing soldering, installing things in deep crevices where if you drop a screw or bolt or something, you might have to open up maybe 20 panels to get to that, because you cannot even afford to have something in there because it's a moving device that you are working on, and it could be a worse still if it is an aircraft. No way that you can let it have it. You have to take it out. What I mean is technical stuff that unless you are really good at it, you cannot carry out. And that's what my invitation also should be. Maybe your brother-in-law, your uncle, your grandfather. I know you out there who are good on soldering. This is an enterprise waiting to be incorporated. And if you can have your mini production line, there you go. There are a lot of things that you could do, and the important thing to remember, you don't have to. You are doing a web-based company, web-based business outfit, where you don't have the overheads of every month you get this neck-breaking rent that you got to pay. No, you don't have to worry about all that. Once you really establish your small-time business, and you can grow. So that's one thing that I want to get your attention to. With the controls, one other point is, as a professional drone flyer, you want to have the discipline that most of the, at least I won't say most, pretty much every live pilot would maintain. What I am trying to get at this with that is, the pilots really believe in the simulator, or the if you have to deal with any new aeroplane, you go to the basic version, check the basics things out. So on the drones, when you have the basic mode and the racing mode and all other modes, advanced modes, try to do the basic mode first, because then if there's anything that you need to know about the new device or the flying machine, that you come to know. Even in the remote, at times you find it the joysticks are reversed, and if you, without checking that out, if you take the drone out and go into the advanced mode and try to fly it, if the joysticks are inadvertently reversed, and you are facing a dangerous situation. So that's why it is so important to start with the beginner's mode. And also, just as I mentioned about the pilots always believe in simulators, because that's their life. If a mistake happens, there is no tolerance for mistakes in the air. So even with the drones, I want to emphasize this as much as possible. Before you take the drone out, I know DJI and many other leading manufacturers, they have, for every model, they have put up a simulator. So fly on the simulator and get your hands on really well on to flying it, and then evaluate all aspects before you take it out. And now I want to deal with just finishing up talking about the frequency. I did mention 2.4 gig and 5.8 gigs. So let's think of this. Why? In fact, having two frequencies, there is a major help. I would say a major advantage. If the need is there, you can have the two separate functions on the same frequency, but then you have to deal with the interference. Only because you can in the methods of modulation has changed, are so advanced, you can do that, but still you have to deal with interference. And but because there are two frequencies that are widely used on drone activity, as we mentioned, the 2.4 and 5.8, you can use one for the controlling one frequency to control the drone, and the other frequency to do your FPV. And I want to, if you cannot see this properly, it's module file figure 3. I will just try to show it over here, but don't worry if you can go to the website and see. This is Phantom 2 version 2 and version 2 plus. See how they have used the two frequencies. 2.4, 5.8 they are used to control the quad, and 2.4 for FPV. So because the two frequencies, there are two frequencies, you can use it. You can use both and keep them separate. Then selecting a remote, there are a few things that. More than a few things that you might want to check on. One thing, you might want to stick to the same brand. If you buy the one brand for the transmitter or the controller, you might want to stick to the same brand on the receiver side. Not necessarily, sometimes because of the cost factor, or maybe just the size of the device which is going into the aircraft, or any other need, any other shape or whatever. You might decide that you have to go for a different brand on the receiver. That's possible too, but you have to make sure that they pair and you can bind easily. All those things you would have to consider. And not only that, deciding on a remote also, it's about the you can check on the housing, how the gimbals work, and that means how the joysticks work, and where are the how are the switches, whether they are toggle switches, whether they are shift switches, all those things needs to be considered when you want to buy the unit. And what are the other considerations choosing good transmitters? There's the screen display, the resolution, and the backlight. And I've seen on YouTube many people take some of the controls without the backlight on the display, but they put in that, so it's not that difficult to do. If there is a price difference, it's okay to go without the illumination, where you can put your own illumination for the backlight. What are the other things, functions which allow you to change how the stick reacts? So these are the personal things to get it as ergonomic as possible. Also, flight controller software, there may be or some may be user friendly than others, that you might want to consider also. Yeah, and RC transmitters support programming and once again firmware flushing the firmware to enhance user experience. See, those are features that you have to know before you buy. It's always better to know. Telemetry, how good is the telemetry? As we explained in previous modules, telemetry gives information, sends information back to the controller from the status of the aircraft, so many things, the voltage level, the losing of frames, or the controller itself, the flight controller itself can send you this information. You can even add more sensors and to get more information as you wish to, if you wish to customize. So that's another feature that you can. These customizing things it's another area that you can make extra money, and mainly to have two controls, or pair them, one as a master, one as a slave, or one as a master, one as a trainee, and because you have to look at it in this manner. Instead of having one controller, you will have to have, when you have to have two, is an additional expense. And if you can stock a few of the adaptable controllers, some of them you can link two together, and with the micro USB, and with the software you can get one to act as the slave, and one to act as the master. So these are additional services that you can offer where you earn extra money. And one other main important thing when you are settling down to buy a controller, buy with multiple extra channels, if possible, or even 8 channels, because you are in the profession where you need to do other experiments and check things out. So additional channels always help. Feature. Those are the features you got to check. Another should have feature direct connection between transmitter and USB. That connection, that feature should be there where you can use it. In fact, the list of controls or transmitters put in on the module 5 and figure 5. You can check on that. And let's get into, you may not have that many repairs like you get in with the drones, where drones of course crash all the time, and people come with a broken arm, broken motor, all these things are bringing in more business for you. And that's one area you have to be very, very familiar to repair on repair jobs. And on that, the same thing, I would, to a lesser degree, of course, the same thing can happen to goggles, or your people will come with the controls broken, maybe dash on the ground, or 58, or I know I'm talking about your web-based business, but however you communicate with your clientele, whether it is a chat and that you communicate, and then you get the job order in that sense to get the remote fix. Let them UPS it to you, and you take whatever the mechanism you have laid out to get it to you and repair and get it back to them. And you can, of course, when it comes to software, I think I haven't tried this myself, but you might be able to use WebEx or TeamViewer and do the software guidance remotely also. That's and speaking of which, on the goggles, I want you to see this. Also, before I go there, in fact, on figure 3, I'm sorry, figure 4 of module 5 is how I want to show you how this guy has opened up the remote, and he's working on the remote, trying to replace the joystick. And okay, speaking of goggles, why you should see this YouTube. Let's see now.
I've flown all sorts of quads over the years, and my favorite flying experience is flying first-person view in goggles, so it feels like I'm actually in the air flying from the pilot's perspective. It's a ton of fun and super addicting. There's huge benefits of getting FPV goggles set up on the DJI drones. They have rock-solid gimbals for controlling the camera. DJI is using their Lightbridge technology, so you're receiving a live HD video feed of what your camera sees, even if it's miles away. Very low latency, about 20 to 25 millisecond delay, which is pretty good for rapid response. Tons of safety features built in, like return to home and object avoidance, plus insane battery life, like almost 30 minutes on my new Phantom 4. And remember, FPV is first-person view, so technically just looking at a monitor with a live video feed counts as FPV, but the true best experience is with goggles for full immersion effect. Now, your average way of accomplishing this for the Phantom series is pretty expensive. You'd first need to purchase their HDMI output module, which is currently $90. Then you need to buy expensive HDMI glasses or goggles, like the Fat Shark, or Glyph, like what Casey Neistat just got, and those are $700. Now, my setup is so much cheaper compared to those options. First, you'll need the drone, any Phantom 3 model, Phantom 4, or the Inspire series. Then grab your phone, iPhone or Android. Next, you'll need a simple VR headset. These go for around 20 or 30 bucks. I'm rocking the Blitzwolf headset, which is comfortable, and adjustable, which is important. I'll give you links to what I'm using down below. Or maybe you have Google Cardboard laying around, that should work fine. The final magic ingredient is an app called Litchi. It's for both iOS or Android, around 20 or 25 bucks. It isn't super cheap for an app, but totally worth it for the amazing flying experience. Plus, the app has a ton of other cool features that maybe we'll check out another time. Oh, and they were awesome to hook you guys up with some free codes for the app. 4 lucky winners, so you can enter that giveaway down in the description. It's super straightforward from here. Boot up the quad, I'm using the P4, plug in your phone like normal, but instead we're launching with the Litchi app. Once connected, hit the VR icon on the top right, and boom, you'll see the magic. The app is simply splitting the video into 2 smaller screens for the VR headset to feed into each eye, creating that full immersion effect. You can even tweak some settings, like the OSD text actually feels like it's hovering in 3D space in front of the video, which is cool. Oh, and you can even enable head tracking, so if I tilt my head down, the camera tilts down. On the Inspire series, you can head track in 360 degrees. Flying around the skies like a free bird is such a fun and incredible experience. Plus, on my P4, when I flip the switch to sport mode, I can fly at over 50 miles per hour. Feels like a rocket. Controls are extremely precise and responsive. It's a great way to practice for that drone racing career. Now be safe. Remember, you're flying a little weapon-like object that could really hurt someone, so be responsible and fly smart. Thanks for watching, and feel free to share this video with any of your friends who should try this out. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and thumbs up button if you haven't already. And until next time, let's live the authentic life.
Oh, so that's that's a cool thing to make. Definitely so. And we have the link, his link on our links page. And yeah, you should subscribe to that. And that is goggles. You still can make money. And speaking of, there's another item or device. That's a GPS device to track lost drones. But I would not suggest for you to do research and get into it a big way, because I see the prices coming down. So many different devices are coming now. But you can still get involved in the installation part of it. It's although most of them the installation may need some technical help. So we will do a synopsis and cover this module 2. I mean, when I said module 2, I meant module also. This is module 5. Thanks again.